Who's your favorite doctor? It's Dr. Green.
Good morning, and welcome to the Dr. Green Show. My name is Dr. Green, and today we'll be discussing the topic of cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is one of the most common genetic diseases in the country. It causes persistent lung infections and heart failure. Over time, cystic fibrosis limits the ability to breathe and can eventually lead to death. 1 in 3,500 babies are born with cystic fibrosis. This genetic disease affects 1 in 20,000 Caucasians, 1 in 17,000 African Americans, and 1 in 9,000 Hispanics. Today we'll be having our special guest, Brandon Haynes, to talk about his experience with cystic fibrosis and how it has affected his life. Welcome, Brandon.
Hello, Dr. Green.
Hello, Brandon. So please tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, just last year, my wife gave birth to my son, Ian. Due to him being of African American descent, he was not tested for all genetic disorders. He was only tested for those coming in African Americans, which led to us receiving a late diagnosis for cystic fibrosis.
Wow, that's extremely unfortunate. So, did Ian show any signs of having cystic fibrosis when he was first born?
Yes, I noticed that Ian's breathing patterns were jagged and he gained weight very slowly compared to his brothers and sisters at the same age. So we went to our local physician, Dr. Patel, who focused instead on his alertness, his movements, his smile, and overall well-being. During these previous visits, Dr. Patel tried to reassure me that babies differ in growth, even those in the same family. So he was saying pretty much that whether his sisters or brothers grew faster or slower at that age, it didn't make a difference. But in response to that, my concerns were still the same, and he had suggested that we try different formulas as well as possibly adding supplements to his feedings.
Okay.
And
So when did you realize that Ian had cystic fibrosis?
Well, despite our desire to trust Dr. Patel's experiences and suggestions, the weeks of watchful waiting and weighing Ian became months with slow progress in Ian's ability to gain weight as well as breathe normally, and my concerns grew. So after doing some research on the internet, I feared that my son might have CF, cystic fibrosis, of course, but reading the articles on the internet, it seemed as if African Americans are less likely to get CF, yet still my instincts told me otherwise.
Right.
So Dr. Patel agreed to set up an appointment for us to have Ian seen at New York City's Children's Center. So within the next year, we met with Dr. Oz, who works at New York Children's Center, and after a preliminary examination of Ian, he questioned my fears about Ian having cystic fibrosis because of his ethnicity and stated without hesitation that he thought I was just a nervous parent. And I wish that were the case. However, after a sweat test, the standard test for CF, at the time, my fears became reality. And Ian tested positive for CF, and we began a new life journey.
Wow. So how has your life changed after Ian's diagnosis of cystic fibrosis?
Well, in the beginning, with everything about cystic fibrosis, it was completely new to us, and we attended a few CF parent support group meetings, and in many ways, those groups can be and were at times very helpful as well as comforting. As weeks and months progressed, my wife and I just paid attention to the diagnosis and the impact of CF on Ian while integrating as best we could the treatments as part of his normal life. It became, for Ian, just a part of his everyday life, inhaling meds, getting his hits, as we call it, taking the enzymes with his meals, etc.
Okay. So shouldn't there be a policy so that newborn parents like you can avoid situations like this?
Yes, definitely. There should definitely be a policy that encourages doctors to screen babies for genetic disorders outside their ethnicity, definitely.
Right. So actually on the show, we have proposed a policy that all newborn babies in every state, regardless of their race, should be tested for every genetic disorder.
Wow.
I think that'd be awesome. So that's all the time that we have today on the Dr. Green Show, and everyone have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Who's your favorite doctor? It's Dr. Green.